I'm here with Peter Lavelle, host of RT's CrossTalk. Peter, you sent me an interesting article, a poll from Gallup, which shows that Russia is now, in 2019, considered amongst a majority of those polled to be the greatest enemy of the United States. You'll get into some of the numbers. You'll get into some of what Gallup says and the meaning behind it. Just a quick figure. And I'll put the chart up so people can see it. The top 10 countries named U.S. as greatest enemy. What one country anywhere in the world do you consider to be the United States' greatest enemy today? That was a question. 2018, Russia was at 19%. 2019, it stands at 32%. Peter Lavelle.
Well, I encourage everyone watching this video to take a look at go to that link and look at the charts here. What's the most important takeaway from this is that manufactured consent works. When you have the political elite, and I don't care what side you fall on, what part of the spectrum that you find comfort in, and in a media that follows orders from that political establishment, and they've determined that Russia is the enemy. While Russia and the United States are not in a state of war, we're not in a military conflict. Russians have not killed Americans, though Americans have killed Russian contractors in Syria. It is the United States that is sanctioning Russia repeatedly for very dubious reasons. We all know the Mueller report is a dud. We all know that there's nothing there other than process crimes of low-hanging fruit. But that doesn't matter because, well, the circus is still on the road, okay? Nadler is going to move forward. I'm surprised I wasn't on the list. Maybe I will be soon. But these Gallup numbers tell us something that is very frightening. It's very frightening. It proves, we can go back to the run-up to the illegal invasion and occupation of Iraq, the manufactured consent to go to war. When Donald Trump ordered early in his presidency the missile strike against Syria, remember NBC News talking over footage, our beautiful missiles. Okay, this is manufactured consent. And everyone gets along. There is no deviation from the position that is established, and it's usually established by the deep state. The interesting thing this time around, when we go to Venezuela, for example, they didn't even go through the manufactured consent. They just went straight for regime change. This is what I talked about on my crosstalk that's on our air today. So I sent it to you, and I wanted to talk about it because this is an example of how you mold public opinion in a direction that you want. It doesn't need any facts whatsoever. It doesn't need any debate whatsoever, because debate would mean that you're in collusion or you're traitorous or you're
Putin troll.
Or you're just a lunatic. Okay, you're like in the flat Earth category. And this is one of the things I find interesting about this is that it shows how manufactured consent limits and actually attempts to destroy free speech. Because I would love to debate people that believe this to be true, but they won't. Because debating it would give me, legitimacy. That is not the way we built our society around freedom of speech. Okay, and this is undermining it. And Gallup has just given us a really pristine example of how it works. And on top of it, we have to worry about the danger of all of this. I mean, it's not like they manufactured consent against Panama. What can Panama do to the United States? Nothing, okay? But Russia is a leading global power, and it will defend itself. And so, when we see these numbers here, we had a NATO general a few days ago, the American general that heads NATO. He's petitioning Congress for more money, for more troops in Europe. What do you think his item number one is going to be when he talks to Congress? Well, did you see the Gallup report?
There you go.
See how it's circular, okay? They create this artificial threat. And then they say that they have to react to this artificial threat. And then people say, but it's a threat because the media told me, and Marco Rubio told me, and Lindsey Graham told me. and it ends up being a circular thing. And it's like a information loop that feeds upon itself. So this report is going to be used for ways to ratchet up tensions even more. Russia has been sanctioned so many times based on something that is still being researched or investigated, and we all pretty much know that what is being investigated is a dud. So what were all those sanctions all about? And I'll tell you, that's what Russia is saying here, is that you're taking action based on some assumptions, but you don't have any facts, or you're not going to prove anything. And once the Mueller report is a dud, are you going to retract the sanctions? Of course not. So this is how manufactured consent works. It worked during the Iraq, the run-up to the war. It actually, they didn't do a very good job when it came to Syria because it was a split decision. People didn't understand it well enough. It was the media wasn't informed enough, and they didn't know how to sell it. But they've been able to sell that Russia is the enemy. And that's really quite tragic for everybody involved, particularly in a time when Russia now is officially withdrawn from the INF Treaty. So now, hey, folks, let's get ready for an arms race in Europe. What? There's no reason for that. They should be dismantling NATO completely. Their greatest threat is their own political establishment and illegal immigration. Those are the biggest threats that face the EU, not Russia.
Well, NATO's going to be happy with this report. Let me give you
You
some.
betcha.
You betcha.
You betcha.
Here's some other numbers, Peter, that you can comment on. Americans' overall view of Russia: 73% unfavorable, 24% favorable. In 2011, it was pretty much even. So, I mean, those numbers have really ratcheted up. And this is an interesting one: percentage naming Russia as the U.S.'s greatest enemy by party ID. 46% Democrats and 14% Republicans. The Democrats is a hockey stick.
Yeah, this is a historical flip, because for most of my political lifetime, it was always the other way around. It was always the Democrats. They were always soft on Russia, soft on the Soviet Union, soft on communism. Now it's flipped over to the other side.
And independence is at 34%. That's also a hockey stick up. So independence has also gone up.
That is most tragic for me, because a lot of these independents are libertarian people and people of those kind of ideas, and they are usually historically been very skeptical. That's why they call themselves an independent. And I find these people to be very disappointing, because they're the ones that could have tipped it in the other direction or created a debate about it. I'm talking about people like Jimmy Dore and people like that. So yeah, this is this historical flip. And there's no remedy for it. This isn't going to change. I mean, this is if it's going to change, it's going to be generational. I mean, if Russia's official position is strategic patience, but my sense is that if they just forget it, I mean, they're going to treat us like an enemy. We have to defend ourselves as if they are an aggressor. And on many fronts, the United States is an aggressor towards Russia. So based on no empirical reasons, okay? The hacking of our election, whatever that means, is the equivalent of Pearl Harbor. Well, Pearl Harbor was something that really happened, okay? I mean, we have evidence of that, but we have no evidence. Look at what the media has done. For example, Julian Assange got Hillary's emails from the Russians. You hear that all the time. It's never been proven. Never been proven. So people check it off as if it is true. See, this is why we get these poll numbers, because it's embedded in the discourse of narratives about American domestic politics. This has almost nothing to do with foreign policy, because most people don't have much knowledge about foreign policy, except for our viewers here. But these views are a result of the characterization of Russia as part of the domestic political debate in the United States. That is remarkable in itself. And when you look at how these numbers have changed, Trump makes people go crazy. It's all a reaction to Donald Trump's the advent of his presidency and 2 years of his presidency. This is where these numbers are coming. It's not coming from objective reasons and evidence that Russia is hostile towards the United States.
Yeah, Manafort was working for Russia. Another myth that everyone continues
he was
to say
working for the
over and over.
Ukrainians.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's working with Ukrainians that were working against Russia's interess.
No one ever says that.
That's a fact, okay? Yeah. He was working with Yanukovych. Yanukovych wasn't pro-Russian. Well, he wasn't anti-Russian, but he did not... See, I explained this to Jimmy Dore, and he was bewildered by it. I think even to the point he said, I better go check this. And I said, well, no, but we had Democratic Party operatives going to Kiev. But Michael Cohen didn't go to Prague. But operatives of the DNC went to Kiev. Bury that story. Why? Because it interrupts and damages the narrative. That's why it disappears. So it shows how you can generate momentum for a political agenda. And I don't blame the American people, because as an American myself and being brought up there, if you look at television news, even the cable, I mean, I think someone put it to me once. It's something. It's a bright week when 18% of the stories on a daily basis is devoted to foreign affairs, and so it's Russia, Russia, Russia. It's always negative, negative, negative. Yulia Alfa apparently on CNN made a comment, off-the-cuff comment, Russia better not ease up on its gun laws because they drink too much. I mean, that's just so stereotyping of a country, okay? Everything's a stereotype. I mean, I know the demographics of it and the consumption of alcohol per capita. It's gone down dramatically. Why? Because young people like to drive their cars, and they have you've lived here, they have almost zero tolerance for alcohol consumption and driving. People want to be able to drive. They want their license taken away from them, okay? I mean, there's so many stereotypes out there, and this is what builds to it. People that have a prejudice towards Russia, a bias against Russia, will say these kinds of things. And most people that have ever been here, they will say, oh, okay, fine. I mean, a number of times people say, people have told me that, when I told my friends and my family I was coming to Russia, they said, well, is it safe? I mean, you've lived here. I mean, Moscow is a very safe city, okay? But no, this is how you manufacture consent.
Extremely safe. And real quickly, Peter, a couple more numbers very, very quickly. North Korea 2018 was at 51%. 2019, it went down to 14%. China is at number 2, considered the second greatest enemy. 2018, it was 11%. 2019, 21%. So Russia and China account for 53% of that poll. North Korea went drastically down.
Well, I think it's because of the overture, Trump's overture. I think because of Bolton's intentional botching of it. I think North Korea has a stellar career of being an enemy of the United States. So we'll see how that changes. That is going to be conservative news outlets that are going to be pushing a positive Trump line vis-a-vis North Korea. You and I witnessed it watching Fox, for example. Okay, I mean, once Trump said he wants an initiative there, Sean Hannity flipped like a dime, okay? So, and so did Laura, okay? So, Laura Ingraham. So, but those are two perfect examples of how people are influenced, how the narrative is manufactured and driven. And you and I witness it all of the time as kind of outsiders because we're not part of that. So, again, this is a wake-up call that how much more alternative voices like ours that need to get out there. We need to have more of a discussion here because these poll numbers tell us that shutting down free expression is the way to maintain these perceptions of who are enemies and adversaries in the world.
Yeah. Peter Lavelle, host of RT's CrossTalk. Thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on that subscribe button down below and click on that notifications bell to make sure you get notification every time we push out a new video. Visit the Duran shop, pick up a t-shirt, help support the Duran. In the description box down below, you'll find a link to our PayPal and Patreon pages. Donate to the Duran. That really helps us out a lot. And you can get a copy of this video on iTunes and SoundCloud in audio format. Peter Lavelle, host of RT's CrossTalk. Thank you once again. Until next time, everybody, take care.